The UFC doesn't only boast the best male MMA fighters, but also the world's best female MMA fighters. In 1997, the first female MMA fight happened in the US, and in the last 2 decades and more, we've seen the talent in the UFC grow enormously. Today, we'll be taking a look at some of the most insane women fighters in the UFC. Number 12, Aspen Ladd. Talking about insane fighters, you've got to include Aspen Ladd. Ladd, from the States, might not have a great record, but her unpredictability in the ring makes her a tough opponent as you don't know what to expect from her. Out of her 4 wins in the UFC so far, she has 3 by TKO. She's also already landed a Permaforce of the Night and a Fight of the Night award for 2 out of those 4 wins. Her debut was a memorable occasion as she earned a win by TKO in the second round, letting out a powerful war cry. Ladd's passion in the ring is unmatched, and her aggressiveness is a big part of what makes her so successful. Number 11, Irene Aldana. Irene Aldana is another big name in the female UFC circuit. She's known for her aggressive style of fighting and remains a consistent performer for the promotion. The Mexican debuted in 2016 for the UFC, and despite losing the debut fight, she won the bonus for Fight of the Night. She knows how to get under the skin of her opponents. While her record doesn't stand out as much, Aldana is not an ideal opponent for anyone in the bantamweight division. She's currently nursing an injury, because of which she'll miss her scheduled fight against Aspen Ladd, who will now face Raquel Pennington. However, once Aldana makes a complete recovery, she's bound to land a big fight considering her ranking is now in danger. Number 10, Carla Esparza. Standing at only 5'1", don't think for 1 second that she's not dangerous. Carla Esparza is one of the veterans in the UFC, debuting all the way back in 2013. She's been with the promotion for almost 10 years now, and the fact that she's still considered a top fighter goes to show how insane her skill level is. The Cookie Monster is a former Invicta FC strawweight champion, as well as the first UFC strawweight champion. Esparza's on a 5-fight win streak as she attempts to take on Rose Namajunas in a week's time for her title shot. This should be an absolute cracker, and we can't wait to see the former strawweight champion try to win her belt back from Namajunas. Number 9 is Zhang Weili. Zhang Weili, the professional Chinese mixed martial artist, is one of the most talented fighters and a fearsome prospect for opponents. Nicknamed Magnum, Weili fights in the strawweight division and has an overall MMA record of 23 wins out of 25 fights. She was 16-1 before the UFC snapped her up, and Weili quickly made a name for herself by winning 5 straight fights. This included an incredible TKO against Jessica Andrade, another famous name in the UFC division. Her amazing run helped her become the first Chinese champion in UFC history, but since then, she's been handed consecutive defeats by current strawweight champion Rose Namajunas. Number 8, Holly Holm. If you spot Holly Holm in the street, you might mistake her for being a dumb blonde, but we hope that never happens to you. Her southpaw stance could break your neck within seconds, so it's probably better not to provoke her, in case you do see her. She's been with the UFC for more than a decade and fights in the bantamweight and featherweight divisions. Holm is the only fighter ever to hold a world boxing title and UFC title, and is more famously known for handing Ronda Rousey her first ever defeat in Melbourne, in front of a record-breaking crowd. The Preacher's Daughter is currently on a 2-fight win streak as she prepares to take on Ketlin Vieira in May. Number 7, Juliana Pena. Few fighters, if any, will enter the ring with Amanda Nunes and come out with a raised arm. Juliana Pena, the Venezuelan vixen, is one of those special talents that has managed such a feat. Her record isn't impeccable though, and she's got a few big losses, but those have come against the very best, and there's no shame in losing to somebody better. Pena might disagree, and she's well within her rights to do so, as she can beat anyone on her best day. Pena's next fight hasn't been scheduled yet, but we're expecting to see a rematch between Pena and Nunes, and she's even called Nunes a coward if she retires before their potential matchup. Pena won the first one, so the second one should be an incredible event. Let's hope that the UFC can fix a date for that one. Number 6, Germaine de Randamie. No one in the UFC who isn't named Amanda Nunes has managed to defeat Germaine de Randamie. She's fought Nunes twice, lost both times, and to be honest, the Nunes fights don't count because after all, only a few people can defeat her. De Randamie has recorded wins over Juliana Pena, Aspen Ladd, and even Holly Holm. She's only ranked so low because the next few names are extremely big. However, in terms of craziness and a successful career, few can challenge her credentials. De Randamie is in the twilight of her career and will be hoping to land a couple more fights before retiring for good. The fact that she's still amongst the best in the world explains how good the Dutch mixed martial artist has been throughout her career, not just the UFC. Number 5, Jessica Andrade. There's no doubt that Jessica Andrade is one of the best female fighters in the world right now. She's made a career out of bullying her opponents and developing a serial winning ability. Andrade is actually the only female fighter to win a fight in 3 different divisions, and that showcases her ability to test herself in all sorts of environments. Someone who fights outside their comfort zone is truly a champion. You tend to lose a few, but at the end of the day, you're a much better fighter, equipped for bigger challenges. Andrade's only lost to some of the biggest names in the promotion, and that's why she's ranked so high, because of her versatility and ability to fight anyone, anywhere. Number 4. Joanna Jędrzejczyk. The margin of error at the top is so low that a single misjudgment can cost you a record that you've worked so hard for. But when you're as good as Joanna Jędrzejczyk, you aren't too bothered with records because you can easily bounce back from any kind of adversity. Joanna's built a decent career in the UFC and has defeated some of the biggest names like Jessica Andrade and Michelle Waterson, among others. The Polish star was unbeaten for a long time before she lost to Rose Namajunas. Fighting in 2 different weight divisions isn't an easy task, but few people handle it better than Joanna. In her next fight, she'll be looking to avenge her loss against Zhang Weili, which was an extremely close fight, and she lost by a split decision only. Some have gone on to regard it as the best fight in UFC women's history, and we hope that these two can put on a similar show in their next fight too. Number 3. Rose Namajunas. It was extremely tight for the 2nd and 3rd place, but due to lesser experience compared to the other 2 names, Rose Namajunas comes at number 3. Namajunas is a superb fighter who's got the record for winning back a championship title after losing it. Nicknamed the Thug, she's featured continuously in this video, and that's why it shouldn't be a surprise that she ranks so high, considering that she's handed losses to most of the other fighters on the list. She is currently the strawweight champion in the UFC, and she'll defend her crown against Carla Esparza in a week, and it should be a cracking fight. Number 2. Valentina Shevchenko. Valentina Shevchenko is probably the most feared fighter in the world at the moment. The only reason she comes second on our list is that Amanda Nunes is first on every list, and she's deserved this praise. Shevchenko, though, isn't far behind her and is the current flyweight champion in the UFC. Fittingly, Shevchenko's only ever lost to Amanda Nunes, and if not for Nunes, she'd have an impeccable record as she's won all the other 22 fights in her MMA career. Surprisingly, both of her losses to Nunes came in controversial and debatable circumstances and could have easily gone the other way. Number 1. Amanda Nunes. For many, Amanda Nunes is probably the greatest ever female fighter in the history of the UFC. Some would argue for Chris Cyborg, others would make a case for Ronda Rousey, but for us, Amanda Nunes edges them at the top. She was the first woman to become a 2-weight champion in the UFC, and also the first woman to successfully defend both her titles. Her stellar career is full of records, including the most consecutive wins in the UFC amongst women, most UFC title fights amongst women, and most UFC victories amongst women. She is the undisputed GOAT and the most insane fighter in the octagon by a fair margin. And that's a wrap for this video. Do you agree with our ranking of the most insane women fighters in the UFC? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. We'll see you in the next one.